All right, this is my quick review of the CMF Buds 2A, mainly because there's not enough videos about it on the market. There's a few comparison videos with the CMF Buds 2 Pro or there's like another version on top of that. But I wanted to get these for a few different reasons, and I actually had my Skullcandy headphones die on me again. As much as I love Skullcandy, I saw them at a conference last week even. The right earbud on the Sesh ANC constantly dies on me. This is my third one I've gotten, so I was like, I'm going to get a different brand, especially since this is usually on sale for pretty decent price, and we'll get into that price in a moment. And I actually did film an unboxing, but since I don't have an overhead camera, it was pretty crappy, so I'm just going to skip it and just show it to you. And that's because I was trying to record it with my phone and trying to unbox it with one hand. Just didn't quite work out. But you have these little buds. They're not like a bad size at all, too. I don't know if it can focus on that or not, but yeah, they look quite like the AirPods, I would say. Very quick, snappy, like if I want to, if you wanted to hear it. And then one thing I want to mention right off the bat is the instant connect. I don't even think it's a feature per se, and I don't know if it's because my phone is a newer phone, the Pixel 9a, and these are newer earbuds that there might be a higher Bluetooth protocol that they're activating, but it is instantaneous when it comes to connection. I turn on my Bluetooth, I pull these out, and it's almost like a millisecond, 2 milliseconds of connection. To get connected, and that is amazing to me. I've always had like an issue where either they didn't want to connect, like headphones. I have these Skullcandy ones that take a second for me to actually find them here. The Skullcandy is still pretty fast, I will say, but I'm just saying in comparison to these are like instantaneous. The JBLs that I have take a long time to connect, like multiple seconds, if not 20 seconds at some points, and having to like manually connect it. These automatically connect every single time. So one good thing there. One bad thing is this little knob doesn't do jack. Doesn't do anything. I have the Nothing X app, and that is the app you use to control the like ANC or the EQ, and we'll get into the ANC in a moment. But this knob does nothing. It's a fidget toy. Like, it's supposed to do like volume, I think, but it just doesn't seem to do anything. It doesn't even connect to a case as a separate device. So I don't know what's going on with that. I thought it was supposed to be like a volume rocker or something like skipping, something like that. I don't know. And then, or maybe it's just they're a lanyard thing. There's a little hole right there. Maybe it's just lanyard. Okay, maybe I was wrong. Maybe only the pros have the volume knob. But I thought, yeah, okay, maybe that is a lanyard thing. That's interesting. I thought this was supposed to be volume, but you know, if they don't tell you that, then you don't know. So I'm glad I'm telling you. Now, I have been daily driving these for about a week and a half, because I got these for when I went to Vid Summit last week, and I needed new headphones. First off, they take up very little space compared to the thickness of like these Skullcandies. You can see the difference there in height, and even just like the width of it too. Like, these don't take up that much space, but compared to these, this is so much smaller. This is about the size of a case of like AirPods, maybe a little bit thicker and a little less wide, but these are about the size of the case of an AirPods, and I think that's really great. Especially since I actually don't even bring the case with me half the time when I go to the gym or something like that. I just walk over with the headphones in, and then I come back, and the charge is perfectly fine. I've not had the headphones die on me once, and I've used them for 4 hours straight, 5 hours straight at some points, and I know it's not good for your ears, but it's just what I was doing. And so there's a lot of great things to go for this. The next thing I want to get into is actually the pricing, because they sell for about $46, $47. However, there's a lot of deals when it comes to the CMF buds, not just these, but the other ones too. I got these for $20 on Amazon, and I'm sure if you go on the actual CMF website, they're probably similar too. $20, and then I ended up getting like a free trial to Prime, so I got free shipping too, because I needed it to be instantaneous, because I needed it to be that weekend before the trip, because I needed to buy headphones like immediately. And so I got these, tried them out, was pretty impressed with the sound. I would say the microphone is not the greatest, and when I go on phone calls, it does sound a little tinny when it comes to what the person's talking to me through. I'm not sure if the other person was also using headphones, and that might have been the issue. If they were just talking on the phone, it might have been fine. But whenever I was on the phone with somebody, I need to do more testing for this. It did sound a little bit tinny back and forth. And then they also said it sounded all right on their end. I haven't tested the microphones in a recording. I'm kind of curious to see how that sounds. Maybe I can post a video recorded with these. And so that is an interesting dynamic where it's like, okay, they're good for connecting to the phone. They're good for decent calls. How is the sound quality when it comes to music, right? Or even audiobooks. I mean, audiobooks don't really sound, you don't really need to have perfect sound for those kind of things. Or podcasts, the balance is pretty good. Music's very important to me, though. The bass is pretty strong. It's not like Skullcandy strong, but it's still pretty strong. The highs can be a little bit hit or miss, but for the most part, they sound pretty good. And most importantly to me, the mids. And I think the mids sound pretty great. So overall, it's a very positive feeling, I think, towards the sound of these little buds. And again, instant connection too. So they're probably connecting right now to the device. And they have touch capacitors on the side here when it comes to controlling volume, play, skip, and even like the ANC modes. However, it's a little sensitive, which is great when you just want to quickly tap to skip. And I'm still not used to doing the whole triple tap to go back. So maybe I can go in the app and set up the left side to be like go back and the right side to go forward. Maybe I should go ahead and do that. But I did end up finding myself changing the ANC by accident half a dozen times. And it was very frustrating because, like, especially on the plane when you hear all the engine sounds, which we'll get into a second here, it's like you don't want to turn off the ANC. And it just kept kind of happening to me when I was on the shuttle bus or the plane or even just walking, and the ANC would randomly change because I was like trying to press play or trying to skip or something like that, and I pressed it for too long or like not even like that long, but just too long, and it would change it. So I went into the app and I turned off that feature. I was like, I don't want to mess with the ANC. I'm almost exclusively always going to have the ANC on. And I would say I would rate the ANC maybe a 7.5. I want to say 8, but I think 7.5 is more fair and not too sassy about it because it is really good. And it actually kind of surprised me a couple points. I accidentally turned off the ANC, and then I was like, wow, there's a lot more noise around me than I realized. And I actually almost got hit by a car the other day because I didn't hear the car coming, and that's on me for having ANC while walking and not looking around. I didn't look both ways 2 times, which I looked left, I looked right, and then I looked right again. I forgot to look left again, and the car came. So I feel like that's actually kind of a compliment to the ANC. Like, I didn't hear the car coming, and it was relatively loud. Was like an engine-based car, gas engine-based car, I mean. And so that's kind of impressive. Like, I didn't hear the car coming. When I was on the plane, at one point, I accidentally turned off the ANC, and I heard the engines, and I was like, wow, that did cut out a lot of the noise. A lot of sharp sounds will end up showing through. So I was at the airport sitting on one of the benches, and I didn't hear any of the footsteps going by. People were passing by. I was at a pivotal hallway, so people were going back and forth a lot. Didn't hear any of the footsteps. You take them out, you hear a lot of footsteps, you hear a lot of commotion, a lot of talking, a lot of breathing, a lot of blah, 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 ambient noise. However, when I had the headphones in and the ANC on, all I really heard was the squeaks of the wheels of the suitcases, or maybe like a high-pitched movement of like one of the cases being like scraped against something or something like that. That's the only sounds I really heard through the ANC, and that's probably because it's like very quick and high-pitched versus the repetitive and low wave sounds of like the footsteps. So I wanted to mention, like, even in a crowded airport, it was pretty impressive. So overall, the ANC and the sound too, if you have the volume up, it can get kind of loud. It actually drowns out pretty much everything else around you. And so price, $20 on sale. Even the regular price of $46 is pretty dang cheap. And when you get it on sale for $20, that's like a steal. Like, you just can't say no to that. I think that the Skull Candy headphones that were $20 wouldn't be nearly as good as this, because I know they had some recently that are like $20, and I just don't think they would probably match the level of these. Like, these are closer to my $60 to $90 SES ANCs than I would say the $20 comparative one to Skull Candy. So while I would still probably choose these for quality and higher quality ANC, it's 8 times the price. No, not 8 times, 4 times the price. Sorry. 4 times the price for the CMFs. And so that is something that I just, you have to account for. And again, I wanted something quick, cheap, and efficient, and it blew my mind more than it probably should have. And I think that's a great thing. So I don't have anything else to say on this, but since there was no videos talking about the 2As, I was like, let me make a video real quick explaining my experience with this. I hope you enjoy. If you have any comments or something like that, leave them down below. Let me know.